Welcome to Jerseys and Jail Cells, where we explore the stories behind the game, the victories, the challenges, and the decisions that shape careers. I'm Corey Raftery, here to guide you through the world of athletes, teams, and the choices that define them. Welcome, everybody, to a new podcast series called Jerseys and Jail Cells here on the YouTube channel and all other social medias. I'm your host, Corey Raftery, and today we will be looking at the case of Pete Rose. Now, before we go and look into Pete Rose and what he did that's controversial in his career as a player and manager, I have to thank my papa for giving me this idea of looking into Pete Rose. Now, to first start off with who Pete Rose was, he was a baseball player who has the all-time hitting record of 4,256 that is still holding to this day in Major League Baseball. Now, what was the thing that he was stuck in controversy with? Well, it was gambling. And that is a common thing that now all of us as fans or as followers of sports do for a lot of the case. And this pertains to today now is because gambling is a big thing for any sport for that matter. And Pete Rose did that for the wrong reasons. Now, let's look at why he did it. So, Pete Rose, back in 1987, was the manager of the Reds, of the Cincinnati Reds, and he was reportedly betting on his team to win, to lose, whatever the case may be, to earn money. And one of the biggest rules in Major League Baseball is Rule 21, which prohibits gambling for players, teams, and any other representative for any major league team. And when you look at that, it's it's been a thing that has been an ongoing issue in Major League Baseball for many years now, since the 1800s. And when there was a time where it was okay to gamble, for anybody to gamble, whether it was a player, whether it was a person of staff for any of the teams, they were able to bet back then in the early 1900s. But there was a scandal in 1919 when the Black Sox were gambling on the team to win in the series. And when you look at that, it establishes a problem that was occurring in the league. And now moving forward with Pete Rose, in from 87 to 89, he was gambling on the Reds to win games, and he didn't admit to it initially. And when he was caught doing it, he eventually got he eventually retired and was permanently banned from Major League Baseball for doing anything for them. And he then eventually went on to, when he was doing autographs and signings of anything, any more memorabilia that he owned, he didn't file on his taxes, and that's what ended up leading him into prison ultimately for 5 months in federal prison in Illinois. And he wrote a book about his time in jail and the fact that he messed up in his life and that he shouldn't have done what he did, and he regretted it. But in 2004 was when he actually eventually admitted to gambling for the Reds. And one of the biggest things that you notice in the interview is that when he talks about gambling, it was almost like he enjoyed it. He was like, "Oh my God, this is a drive. This is something that I really like to do." And he even stated that the reason why he started betting on baseball was because he was betting previously on basketball and football. And that just shows like a pattern of behaviors that caused him to go and eventually commit a prohibited action in the MLB. And when you really look at what he didn't really like regret it, but he at the same time he did, because he really enjoyed the drive of not being caught. And he even said himself, he was like, I didn't think I was going to get caught. And you look at that and you're like, when you think of somebody like that having that mindset, they don't care. In the moment, they don't care. They're just being like, "Oh, I'm gonna do this. This is fun. This is a drive." But he didn't realize the consequences that would follow with his career. And although he had a really good career as a player, he he ended up tarnishing his legacy being a manager and gambling. And that's a big issue for a lot of players now in the major leagues, in the NFL, in and in the NBA. There's a lot of scandals when it comes to gambling that are happening even now to this day. And we're still the leagues are still trying to figure out what they can do to prevent these things from happening. And although there's leagues that are putting in new rules and regulations and stuff like that, it's still there's the players and stuff are still going to find avenues to be able to gamble. And it begs the question, what can leagues do to prevent players and employees of all these major league professional sports to do to prevent these things from happening? And moving forward in this series of this podcast, we are going to next be looking at Stefan Diggs and the reason why, and maybe what the reason why he was thinking about what he did. I mean, he's reportedly uh allegedly was accused of strangling a cook, that he one of his personal chefs. And we're going to look at that next week and maybe why he did that and maybe what he's saying about this accusation and seeing where it brings him. Because if it brings him to a jail cell like it did with Pete Rose with his issues with money and gambling, it begs the question, what is going on in professional sports that's causing all these athletes to make these bad decisions in the career, whether as a player or a manager or a coach? It's a big issue going around every league, and I'm here to report on every single one of them. And to end off the episode here, I would like to thank you guys all for tuning in on this new podcast series. It'll be posted every Sunday at 5, so don't forget to tune in. I'm your host, Corey Raftery. Have a good one, and take care.